Good morning, guys, and welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be all things Lily related and her physical therapy journey. We are about 3 months into her physical therapy journey, which means we're almost at the halfway point of her 6-month treatment plan. And I've actually gotten quite a few questions in my last few videos about Lily. Specifically, I think it was 2 videos ago, I showed her crawling. And a lot of people had questions why she was crawling like she was a 9-month-old, why she wasn't walking yet, how old she was. And so I figured I would film an update video, but also just like a one-stop shop video where I can refer to people when they ask questions about Lily and why she isn't walking and all that kind of stuff. So I did ask you guys over on Instagram for some questions of things that you wanted to know that pertain to Lily's physical therapy journey, but I'm also going to kind of just go through what it's looked like so far for us, the warning signs and the symptoms that led to me wanting her to get evaluated, how long the evaluation process took for us, what her specific delays are, what our treatment plan consists of, the goals we're trying to work towards and achieve, and just kind of break it down so if anybody has any questions about her little physical therapy journey, I can just link the video and it's all right there. I do also want to share with you guys what our setup is since our physical therapy is in home. They come twice a week. We get 2 45-minute sessions and they come right to the house. So I wanted to share with you guys what our space looks like that we use for physical therapy, different products that we use for her physical therapy, toys. I use a yoga ball. I'll show you how we use the nugget and just kind of share what that looks like when they do come. She does have physical therapy today at 11. I'm gonna try and snap some pictures. I don't really want to film the whole session. I don't know how the physical therapist would feel about that, but I do try and snap pictures of her progress. So I'll go ahead and snap some pictures and I'll also talk to you guys once it's over about like the movements and things we do to try and encourage her to meet those goals. But before we jump into all this, I wanted to share with you guys something else that I recently got in for Lily. It's not physical therapy related, but it is like Lily related. Lily has really bad dry skin and she has very eczema prone skin. And since the temperature has dropped here in New York, it's like in the low 40s in the morning. It is very cold. We have turned the heat on in the house and poor Lily's skin is suffering for it. So I actually did go ahead and get her a humidifier. This is something that I've been toying with. I've never used one before, not even for myself, but I hear so many people rave about them for like using them in nurseries. It helps with like cold and sick season, dry skin, all that kind of stuff. So I finally got one in and I wanted to share it with you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and insert some footage here yesterday that I got of me explaining the one that we got, and then we'll jump into the little physical therapy setup. Okay, I quickly wanted to take a second and share with you guys the new humidifier that I got in for Lily's room. She's currently playing in her crib with some pom-poms, but I decided to get a humidifier for her room because Lily suffers from really dry skin and she also has eczema prone skin. And ever since the temperature dropped and we have turned the heat on in the house, her room hovers around 30% humidity. And I believe for nurseries, I think any room in general, it's actually recommended to have your humidity level between 50 and 60%. So I thought that we could benefit from having a humidifier in here. And after doing some research, I came across this one by Provirtec. This is their HC13 unit. And this one specifically has a lot of key features that stand it apart from other humidifiers that I came across, and features that I actually really enjoy and could not imagine not having. So I quickly wanted to run through some key features with you guys and just how this unit works in general. So this unit here has, I believe, 5 different settings to it. Once the unit is on, if you short press these 3 lines right here, I think you can actually toggle between 3 different mist levels. So 1, 2, and then 3. And once it's on manual mode, it'll actually run continuously until the tank is empty. As you can see here, there is a max fill line. I'm filled up to about here. So on manual mode, it'll actually just run until empty. And what's also nice about this unit is that you don't only have to use purified water, you can actually use tap water. I just keep this little cup back here and I'll go ahead and fill it up in our bathroom sink to top off the tank to make sure that it's always full. And there is a little UV button up here that you can press that will actually help to sanitize the tank inside and the water itself to also help fight against the mold and bacteria. There is also an auto mode that you can toggle between the different automatic humidity levels. I'll probably wind up setting hers at like 50
But the mode that I most exclusively use, just because I do use this when Lily's either napping or sleeping at night, is the sleep mode. And as you can hear, it goes down to level 1, so it's nice and quiet. And it also turns off that ambient lighting, which you can adjust on its own with the little light tab up here, but we use the sleep mode, so it automatically will dim that for us. So that's just a quick overview on how this unit works. I want to share with you guys now like the key features and like the selling points for me. So number one being that sleep mode. I don't have to worry about it being too loud, too bright, too noisy, anything like that to run while she's napping and sleeping. I also enjoy how not messy it is, if that makes sense. Now it's hard to see here. Let's see if I can bring it back up to level 3. You will see how the mist is just not existent. It's such a fine mist that you don't have that huge plume of mist coming out and then wetting the surface around it. I was worried putting it on the dresser that it was going to leave water droplets, but it doesn't. It is so seamless that it doesn't even create a mess, which is so nice. Another huge selling point for this is that the filter is 100% washable. Let's see if I can take this off. You can actually just take the filter out. This comes off of this piece here and you can throw it in your wash machine, which is a lifesaver as a mom. It makes the whole unit a lot cleaner, less susceptible to mold. And then once this is out, you just go ahead and wipe down the inside of it and that's it. It is clean. It's recommended to wash this, I believe, once a week. I think you get 1,500 hours of runtime before it's recommended to wash it. But I usually just go ahead and do the once a week when I go ahead and wash Lily's clothes so that everything is washed together. There is also a child lock on it, so you don't have to worry about it being tampered with your kids. I don't have to worry about Lily getting into it, but if the boys were ever to climb up and touch it, there is a child lock, and there's also a spill proof feature. Like if it was to be knocked over and spilled, it would automatically turn off, so you don't have to worry about it continuing to run. And I think it's recommended that you line up these little arrows here if you guys are wondering what those are. You want to have those lined up. Otherwise, I think it turns off on its own if it's not like lined up properly. So that's what that is there. But those are some key features that I absolutely love about this unit. So that is the humidifier we got. That is the Provirtec HC13 unit. And if you guys are in the market for a humidifier for yourself or your little ones, I highly recommend the one that we picked up. I am going to go ahead and leave a link in the description box for you guys to be able to click and shop through directly. Lily's doing her little flashcards over there. Yeah, moon, yeah. What's this one? Nana. Good job. I'll leave a link down below if you guys are interested in shopping the one that we have, or if you just want to read up more on it. There's even more features for that unit that I didn't share in today's video. What? What do you want? What's this one? Car. What else do we got? I'll leave their website down below for you guys to be able to read up more on it if you're interested in it. So let's jump into what our little setup looks like down here. I'll kind of explain what we have going on and all that kind of stuff. So this is our little setup. If you guys have been a longtime follower of us, you would know that this used to be like the dog's room. When Harris had 2 Great Danes, we still have the crate back here. They have not gotten rid of it yet. I think they're still holding out on maybe possibly getting another dog in the future, but we kind of transformed this space into Lily's space once she started to need more space to play. And a bunch of videos back, I shared this Harpa Baby playpen, and then this mat here is from Amazon. I shared this whole setup with you guys maybe when she was between 6 and 9 months old. And I originally had, as you can see, there's like a back piece over there. I had that attached to here, and I would place her in there, and it also kind of just acted as a place for us to house all of her toys. However, the physical therapist recommended to open it up and give her as much space as possible for her to learn how to move. When we were working on the whole crawling thing, she didn't want us to inhibit her in any way. So I have taken off the front piece here. We still kind of use it as the space to hold all of her toys. She doesn't really play in there unless she's like crawling over there to go get something. It's really just a space for us to hold her toys. And then also you guys can see the carpet ends over here. So it is just a little bit of an added space where she's not sitting on the hardwood floor. But we do have it opened up. And so this whole space here is really Lily's play space. And it's perfect for physical therapy because we're able to have our physical therapist come down here. And it's not like we're in the way of Harris's parents, since we do live with them and they're usually always home. We have this space where it's kind of removed. Right now I do have the nugget couch lined up over here to block her. We will have this open. We'll put this back in the basement sometimes, or we'll open it up, and she will crawl like all the way over here to the front door, to those stairs over there, and like lean on them. But most of the time I try and keep her blocked in here, just because she tries to go in the boys' room. She will touch our shoes over there, and when the boys are in the basement, they leave the door cracked open so I can see them, and I'm always afraid she's gonna crawl down there. If I'm in here with her, we will like move this and I'll be able to watch her. But if I'm like upstairs cooking or something, or the boys are down here with her, I try and block her in. This isn't going to work forever because she eventually is going to be able to crawl over these. We do have more gates like this that they used when they had the dogs. They used to like put them over here so that the dogs couldn't get to the front door. We will wind up using those to corral her more in the future. But this is her little area and safe space to play. So we use a lot of different toys when it comes to her physical therapy. I mentioned in my last video the Love Every box that we recently got in. We love using Love Every toys to coax her and entertain her. We do use a yoga ball. This was like the one thing that my physical therapist recommended we get our own of. She said she used to have one that she would bring with her places, but when COVID hit and the whole germ situation, she stopped bringing her own, and she recommends families buy their own. I got mine at Five Below for literally $5. It did not come with a pump, but we have an air pump that we use for like basketballs and whatnot, so that was completely fine. But I did get mine at Five Below, so if you need one for a physical therapy session or just for yourself, if you're pregnant, I had one of these that I got at Target, I think for like 20 bucks. You can get it at Five Below for $5 in their like sports equipment section, and it does blow up pretty big. We have it not at its like maximum capacity because we do sit her on it and bounce her up and down. I'll insert some pictures. She really likes playing on the yoga ball. That's one thing that they recommended that I buy. So that's one thing we use. Love Every toys. We use a lot of them to coax her, and we do use the nugget couch now. Originally, we were using these little chairs. These are Pottery Barn chairs. I have Ben's, I have Jack's, I have Lily's. Hers is just in storage, and I should get it for her so she has her own to play with. But originally, we started with this. We started with her trying to get more comfortable on her knees and climbing up onto this. I know I have pictures of that, so I'll insert that. We were trying to get her to kneel on this. So this was like the first stepping stone. Now she can crawl on this thing, kneel on this thing, reach up to the top, no problem. But we used to like stack toys on here to get her to go on her knees, hold on to it, and then try and reach. So we use that a lot. Now we use this table a lot. This originally was a seat that she can sit in, and she used to sit in that a lot, but now her little thighs are too chunky and it's just not fun for her to sit in it anymore. So I switched it out for this little top piece. This is from Skip Hop, I think. We use this a lot to coax her, but we are exclusively working with the nugget couch recently. I will stack this piece on top of here so it is kind of like chest height for her. I know I have pictures of that, so I'll insert that here. But we do a lot of work with us putting toys on top of those two things. Now that she knows how to crawl, we will have her crawl over to it, get up on her knees, reach up to the top of it, and then we will assist her in strengthening her little legs and standing. We're working on pulling to stand with her now, since we have conquered crawling. What are you doing? That's the main thing that we're using right now. And another thing we use, what do you want, Bubby? Another thing we use is bubbles. Oh, you want more, Nana? The other thing we use is bubbles. Our physical therapist actually brings bubbles with her to coax her for her crawling. We use those a lot when it came to her learning how to crawl. We would like blow bubbles and she would like crawl to them. Our physical therapist brings her own, but bubbles are a great incentive tool for babies, so we do use those a lot. So that's kind of what our setup, our room looks like. We use the nugget, we use the yoga ball, we use a lot of Love Every toys. You're gonna knock those over. So that's our little setup. But I need to get her dressed. We have to run an errand. And like I said, she does have physical therapy at 11. So whoa. Once she goes down for a nap in a little bit, I will sit down and kind of break down her physical therapy journey with you guys, and then also answer those questions. Now Mommy needs to clean that up.
I'm self-tanning for Halloween, and I feel like my face is starting to get pretty tan. I use like gradual tanning lotion, and I just, with the lighting here, I'm like, wow, it is working. But it is 10:45. I have just 15 minutes until her physical therapy session starts, so I figured I would jump in and start answering some questions while she's out there playing. I'm going to put timestamps in the description box down below, so if there's like a specific area that you guys are interested in terms of her physical therapy journey, you can just go ahead and look in the description box and then skip ahead to what you want to know, but I'm gonna kind of go along chronologically. I also don't want today's video to be too long, so I am gonna kind of rapid fire. I'm so sorry if I wind up talking fast, but I'm going to start with the like warning signs and symptoms that led me to want to get her evaluated to begin with. Since I've mentioned before that my twins were delayed, they didn't walk until 16 months, which is what Lily is, and I wasn't really concerned with them and their development, but with Lily there were definitely signs that led me to want her to get evaluated and just do everything possible to get her up and moving. So the main thing being was that by 12 months, I did bring this up to the pediatrician's attention at her 12-month appointment, and that's when we really started to get the ball rolling. But at 12 months old, she was not crawling. She was not bearing any weight on her hands and knees. She regressed and stopped rolling over between 9 and 12 months when she learned how to sit up. She wasn't bearing any weight on her legs. She wasn't pulling to stand. She had no interest in moving. She really was a happy sitter and would just sit in her little playpen and watch TV or play with whatever toys were in her immediate vicinity. If a toy rolled out of her reach, she had no drive to want to crawl to it and get it. So that was the main thing, was just her lack of movement, her lack of interest in movement, and the regression between 9 and 12 months. So at 12 months old, when she had her 1-year checkup with her pediatrician, that was when I brought all of this to their attention. And thankfully her pediatrician, it's a team of like 4 different pediatricians, all of them are amazing, and they really took my concerns to heart and got the ball rolling pretty quickly. I did get asked what the timeline was of when I brought the like deficits to her pediatrician's attention and when we got her in physical therapy. And so her 1-year appointment was in the beginning of June, since she turned 1 on June 2nd. And like I just mentioned, we started halfway through August. So it took maybe like 2.5 months to get the ball rolling with getting her physical therapy. I would say it was probably towards the end of June that we had her evaluation done, and after the evaluation it was kind of like a waiting period to get matched with a physical therapist. I had to pick like an agency I wanted to go through and like a practice, I guess you would say, and they gave me a long list of them, and I just did my research, and I also asked my coordinator's opinion on who she thought Lily would benefit the most from, since different babies' needs are met differently in physical therapy. And so once I picked who I wanted to go through, I had to then get matched with a physical therapist, and they told me that there was a shortage and it could take some time. So from that and when we got started, I would say it took maybe a month for me to get matched with someone, and I started halfway through August because I kind of just got thrown in with whenever she had openings. She was finishing up a few cases, and so she just kind of threw me in here or there midway through August. And then starting September, we started our concrete schedule, which is twice a week at 11 o'clock on Mondays and Wednesdays, and that will be our schedule going through until she's done with this treatment plan in January. So it took about 2.5 months from when I brought the concerns to our pediatrician to when we actually started the physical therapy. And her exact deficits that got her the physical therapy is gross motor skills. During the evaluation, she got evaluated for everything. It's not like they just came in and looked at her gross motor skills, which is like the walking, the crawling, and like from belly button down, it's like lower extremities. They didn't just look at that. They did the full workup, and to be qualified for early intervention, which is what we went through with the state, she needed, I think, like a 25% deficit in 2 areas, and we almost didn't qualify. They were able to kind of not push her through, but I brought to their attention some behavioral things I saw with her and like sensory things, and I felt that it played a role in her gross motor deficits. And I was so thankful for the coordinator that I had and just everybody listening to my concerns, being an advocate for Lily. They really took them to heart. And so her major deficit is in the gross motor movements, which is like trunk down, so like her legs, some like balance and coordination issues, not fine motor, not like developmental. Her speech is fine. I did get her evaluated for speech and through like a oral motor therapist, but she didn't qualify for that, for feeding therapy or speech therapy, so that was kind of cut out. So it really was just the physical therapy, trunk down, gross motor delays, again, the walking, the crawling, the regression to no longer rolling over. Once she learned how to sit up, she stopped rolling over. I always had to roll her over for her in her bed. So we had the regression. So she needed to learn how to roll over. She needed to learn how to bear weight on her hands and knees. She needed to be comfortable going on her knees. She obviously needed to know how to crawl, transitional movements like crawling to sitting and sitting to crawling, and then walking, standing, pulling to stand, cruising, and walking. Those are like all of the areas that the physical therapist wanted to work on with her. All right, I just got through physical therapy with Lily. I was cutting it a little bit close before. And I'm trying to remember what we went over. So we went over her warning signs and symptoms, the timeline of getting her started, her specific delays and deficits, and what we were going to work on. And so with all that, she got approved 6 months, 2 sessions a week, 45-minute sessions. And going into it, I had to set goals. And I really wanted to set realistic goals for her. 6 months, they told me if at the end of the first 6 months she was still delayed, that we would get reevaluated and could get additional time. So I, with that in mind, set the 3 main goals of well, I guess 4. We had to work on the rolling. We had to kind of reverse her regression of rolling. So that was kind of step 1. Once we were able to do that, then step 2 was going to be working on crawling. Step 3 was going to be pulling to stand. And I just felt in 6 months' time, with where she started, not wanting to put any weight on her hands and knees and legs, I didn't really think walking was going to be a realistic goal. But if we could get her pulling to stand and cruising along furniture, I felt like that was a realistic goal. So we had rolling, crawling, pulling to stand, and cruising. So those are the goals that we're working on. And now that we're 3 months in, we have figured out rolling. That took maybe like 3 weeks. Army crawling took maybe another 2 weeks after that. She's now fully hands and knees crawling. She is actually pulling up onto her knees on a lot of objects, pulling up onto her knees on me, able to play on her knees. And so the next thing that we're going to be working on over the next month or so is pulling to stand, which is the main thing that we're working on right now, is strengthening her little legs in like that upward motion of standing. And then in the last like month, if we can work on cruising on furniture, that is what we want to do. And then if she has to get reevaluated, hopefully maybe we can get an extension to then work on like the independent crawling, because that is going to be kind of the most difficult thing for her. Thankfully, crawling wasn't all that difficult for her once we were able to show her that it isn't painful to be on her hands and knees, that she needed to have like the confidence in herself to be able to do it. Now she loves crawling. She's a speed crawler. She crawls all around the house. So that thankfully didn't take too long. I'm kind of glad that at the halfway mark we were able to accomplish that, so that we can spend the next 3 months working on the pulling to stand, strengthening her legs, and then hopefully cruising along furniture. A lot of people, even in my family, wanted to know, like, why couldn't we just work on walking right away? Just skip crawling and move to walking. Crawling is such an essential thing, and it works certain muscles and muscle groups that I didn't want to skip it at all. I wanted to make sure that we were spending an adequate amount of time working those muscles, so that when it came time to walking, hopefully it would be a little bit easier for her. So I think that's mostly everything. I kind of answered a lot of the questions as we went through. I got asked why she needed it, what skills she's been working on, which is again the whole crawling, and now we're moving on to pulling to stand. I got asked if she's showing signs of walking, and honestly no. You don't realize how much like goes into it with the whole pulling to stand motion that we're teaching her. We're also teaching her how to like bend her legs and like hike her hips up and have her balance, have her coordination. A lot goes into walking that Lily needs to continue to work on for her to show the signs of walking. I think now that she's figured out that she can crawl, like she's happy on the whole movement forefront. Once she starts to put it together and realize that walking is even easier than crawling, like once she figures it out and she knows that she'll be able to see the world from a whole different perspective, I think that she's going to pick it up quick, because that's what happened with the crawling. Once she figured out the army crawl, she picked that up so fast. When she figured out that like, oh, this toy that I want is this far away, if I do this motion I can get it. Now that she's figured out hands and knees crawling, I think she's realized that like being on her hands, she gets a higher vantage point and can see things better. So I think once we figure out the whole standing and the balance, and once it clicks for her, I know she's going to do good. So I think that's it for today's video. I think that's everything that I usually get asked on videos about Lily. Like I said, I'll have timestamps down below if you guys are interested in the Provirtec HC13 humidifier that will be linked down below. Of course, if you have any other questions, feel free to leave those in the comment section down below, or you can always shoot me a message over on Instagram. If you are seeing your baby show these signs of having a delay or a deficit in certain areas, I definitely recommend bringing it up to your pediatrician. If you do get the opportunity to get evaluated through early intervention, be your child's biggest advocate. Obviously, if we didn't get approved, there are like private practices of physical therapy that you can go through. So you can always find the channels to get your baby the help that they need to help them thrive. I was the type of person, I had people in my family just being like, oh, it'll happen. Oh, she'll figure out how to walk. But I feel like you know your baby the best. And I could see that there were just areas that it was out of my realm. I needed a physical therapist who knows the muscles, knows the movements, knows how to teach kids how to do these things. I needed that help myself to be able to help Lily. So I went and got that, and I'm really happy. I love our physical therapist. Like I said, I had a great coordinator. It's all been going so well. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.